Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and there's people here. Lots of people have come on, and we have the Nomad has stepped in to speak to us.
Kill you. Oh, wrong kind of nomad.
Yeah.
What was that, Batman?
I said, I kill you. Oh, sorry, wrong kind of nomad.
I kill
Yeah.
you.
I kill you. Yes. Doku is sitting here going, "What the fuck are they talking about?"
Yeah.
But anyway, I believe
Anyway.
you have things you want to say. The Nomad.
Yeah, we're going to start with this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're going to start with
Here we
this
go.
one.
Voila.
How many people saw this? All right. New York City Police Union leader resigned after FBI raid on their headquarters. Leaders of the Sergeants Benevolent Association, which represents 13,000 members of the New York Police Department, revealed Ed Mullins' resignation in a letter to members. And this was not a resignation. This was a firing, right? We're going to go into this. The FBI raided the Manhattan offices of the New York City Police Union Tuesday, and hours later, the union's outspoken leader resigned. Bearing a warrant, agents searched the headquarters of the fifth biggest police union in our country, the Sergeants Benevolent Association, or SBA, which represents 13,000 active and retired New York City police sergeants. Simultaneously, the FBI searched a home in Long Island suburb of Port Washington. An FBI spokesman said it belongs to Ed Mullins, who has led the union since 2002, sources said. In a letter to SBA members, which was obtained by NBC News, the union's executive board said it asked Mullins to resign. In other words, the executive board told him to resign, and he resigned. In other words, you're fired. Okay?
From
This
a
was
cannon.
not he decided to resign on this. Right? Now, the nature and the scope of this criminal investigation has yet to be determined. However, it is clear that President Mullins is an apparent target of a federal investigation. There's no reason to believe that any other member of the SBA is involved or targeted in this matter. Bullshit. Okay? Now,
You tell him no, Dad.
I'm not going to say anything about Mr. Mullins as far as he's a good guy or bad guy or anything else. Okay, I honestly don't know. I don't know the guy's character. I've never met the guy. I don't know anything about him aside from what he does. But the one thing, the reason this is happening has nothing to do with an investigation into either corruption or criminal activity. And everybody knows it. This was to shut this man down. This was a warning shot because he dares to go against the narratives that have been spewing out of the Biden administration over everything.
Who does this remind me of? Can I think of anyone here in this group that might remind me of? No, I can't put my finger on it. Carry on.
Now, if I'm wrong about this, please let me know how I'm wrong. Please let me know. You're going to sit up there and raid the headquarters? Under what reasoning would you be raiding the headquarters? If you're trying to say it's him, all right, that we're trying to get a hold of, because you raided his home, all right, that you have direct evidence on him, why would you raid the headquarters?
Well, maybe he's... how about... No, I've got nothing.
This is a police... This is a police association. Why wouldn't the FBI have already gotten, some insiders? All right, you can't tell me there's not any insiders in the NYPD that work with the FBI, right? That would turn over this data. You can't tell me that they don't have this data. This is an obviously targeted harassment toward this man. Oh. And it's a warning shot to all the other clowns. You better fall in line or else. And it's done, and we all know it's done, all right, at the behest of this administration, this corrupt administration that is going to destroy this country.
Well, Nomad, to be fair, the FBI could have confused them for the Parent Teachers Association.
Yeah, no, let's be honest, Parent Teachers Association is far more dangerous than the police ever will be.
Well,
Probably
the
got
Parent
more
Teacher
weapons.
Association can write to CDC and change their minds about whatever guidance that they're putting out, right?
Worrying,
Wasn't
isn't
there a
it?
story about that a little while ago? Or did I misstate something?
Yes, you did.
Unfortunately, as much as we'd love to say you did, no, you're right. It's like I said, you really got to start wondering who is actually in charge and how the fucking hell does. We've gone past 5 minutes. Go. How the fucking hell do they actually get this much power? You really got to wonder how the Parents Teachers Association are that important.
What do they have in common? What do they have in common? There's another story here. How many people saw this story? Let me put it up here on the thing.
No problem.
How many people saw this one? Hospital system says it will deny transplants to the unvaccinated in almost all situations. A Colorado-based health system says it's denying organ transplants to patients not vaccinated against the coronavirus, all right, in almost all situations, citing studies that show that these patients are more likely to die if they get COVID-19. Now, this is a lie. And if you read the rest of this article, what you'll find is that the study that they're actually referencing isn't showing you more that people who are unvaccinated with COVID-19 are more likely to die or less likely to die. They are saying that if you get COVID-19, all right, and you've had a transplant, you are more likely to die. In other words, having a transplant is a comorbidity. Okay, we kind of already knew this. Okay, we kind of already knew that immunocompromised individuals, all right, create a comorbidity. We know that.
Normal. If you check your DMs, the one I've sent you might fit better.
Okay, this being the case, okay, that's fine. But you're saying, well, the unvaccinated. Why? What data do you show that shows that unvaccinated are more likely to die than the vaccinated people? Well, I guess it's because Nomads should understand that, well, you know, Nomad, you're more likely to catch the disease if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. Oh, okay. Want to show us that data? Or am I asking too much? This may get your channel fan, so I apologize.
Yes, you are.
Oh no. How will I cope? Oh, please, oh masters of the universe, YouTube, please forgive us. It's not our fault what's being said. I ban you. I wiggle my finger in a very stern manner. Carry on, do what you need to.
Look, I'm not trying to argue a point. I'm not trying to tell anybody what they can believe or not to believe. All right? I'm just telling you, look, this is the system as it exists. This is what this system is doing right now. All right? I'm just trying to point out, look, the idea that you're going to deny somebody who is unvaccinated because, well, a study shows that this is a comorbidity. So what? At what level, all right, do you sit up there and say, okay, this is a comorbidity, and acknowledge that whether you got COVID-19 when you were vaccinated or unvaccinated? So you're going to deny people a transplant to keep them alive, all right? Because, well, we got a precious resource here, and we don't want to give it to somebody that's likely to die. Well, they're more likely to die you just doing this thing, according to what you just said.
Isn't marijuana a good transplant?
No, it's not a transplant. This is especially
true for transplants,
by the way. Just to let you know. Kidney transplants are cause a lot of things. The thing about transplants, all right, is there's been a lot of advances in organ transplants. It used to be hit and miss in many ways. You could type match as much as you wanted, all right, and it increased your chances. But whether or not you actually the
rejection
transplant was
therapy.
actually successful or not was still hit and miss. Now they've come up with drugs to prevent, rejection and so forth. And so this expanded the organs available, possible organs that are available to people. And this is a life-saving technique. These are life-saving techniques for people, right? But you're sitting there saying, well, we're not going to give you a life-saving technique because at some point in time you may catch COVID in the future and die.
Or you're a smoker. They've been saying that for years as well.
Yeah.
That's true, but that has something. There's a different reason for smokers and stopping people from smoking and drinking alcohol, right? Which is also mentioned, by the way, in this article. That's
and obesity,
question.
But then again, it's obvious with obesity, it's because it's going to take them 5 hours to cut through the fat to get to the organs.
Well, the thing is with smoking and drinking, they damage the very organ that you're replacing. Okay, they're causing damage to the body. So if you're a heavy drinker and a heavy smoker, even if we replace it, all you're going to do is damage the new organ. What good is that? That makes sense.
Yeah.
This doesn't, though, and they're not done yet, folks. If you think that you think that this is going to end, all right? How many people saw this? Now, I did see this from Sherardi, all right, and she did put this out here. So,
MC, there's a guy called forgetting his name, but he wrote a bunch of science fiction stories, all set in what he called his own future history. And in one part of this future, they'd perfected transplant surgery, so there was no danger of organ rejection. And when that happened, basically every crime on the books became a death sentence just to fill the organ banks.
Well, look at this. Exclusive. Government secretly orders Google to identify anyone who has searched a sexual assault victim's name, address, and telephone number. All right?
Okay.
In 2019, federal investigators in Wisconsin were hunting men who they believed participated in trafficking and sexual abuse of a minor. She had gone missing that year, but had emerged claiming that to have been kidnapped and sexually assaulted, according to a search warrant reviewed by Forbes. In an attempt to chase down the perpetrators, investigators turned to Google, asking the tech giant to provide information on anyone who had searched for the victim's name, 2 spellings of her mother's name, and her address over 16 days across the year. After being asked to provide all relevant Google accounts and IP addresses of those who made the searches, Google responded with data in the mid-2020s, though the court documents do not reveal how many users had their data sent to the government. It's a rare example of the so-called keyword warrant. Is it? Is it really rare? How do you know that it's quote-unquote rare? When you see a term like that in a freaking document, the first thing you got to ask yourself is what criteria do they use to determine whether or not this is quote-unquote rare?
Mm-hmm.
That once every 16 years, once every year, once every month, once a day? Is that rare once a day? They said they've received thousands. The word is later on as you read this document, they receive every year. Google gives thousands of these requests, handles thousands of them. Now,
Probably
normally
billions.
for a specific account, because the government is looking at a specific thing. This, however, is data surfing. Now, there's no friggin' reason for Google to be keeping this data, aside from the fact from their business perspective, that quote unquote, they can use this data and metadata, all right, to develop other algorithms that they can then use, all right, to create products. Okay. However, the ability to specifically identify individuals, all right, in other words, these things are not anonymized, is the problem. You're doing searches and searches, and Google is collecting this data on you, and then they sell that data on you, all right, to whomever wants it, except if it's the government, all right, then they give it away, depending upon who's in charge. And that's the other problem. If this was Trump, the Trump administration, they would not be turning this data over like this.
Yeah.
Right? If they thought that this had any way to coordinate with Trump, they would do it. It's not just data mining. This is far beyond data mining. Okay. This is specific individuals you're tracking down. They're using this to track down people. All right. That's not data mining anymore. That's not creating. Okay, we think that our customers would like to see commercials along these lines or products along these lines. That's data mining, all right? When you're doing a search for specific individuals for tracking, and it goes in, and this article goes in further where they basically were trying to track down and utilize this to track down where people were in a specific area. They asked in a blanket area, who here using the iPhone stuff and the Google stuff, who here was in this area? We'd like to talk to them at this point in time. Give us their names and their addresses. I've warned you people, and I've warned people before about this. The problem isn't the technology, all right, to surveil. The problem is saving this data, creating a database that you can go back to. It's the storage of this data that's a problem. And before somebody sits there and goes, well, if you have nothing to worry about, and if you're clean and you have nothing to worry about, you should be happy about this. Really? Tell me, how many people's accounts have been hacked because somebody hacked Google, or a Google employee got pissed off at somebody, all right, and leaked all sorts of data about somebody just to be a dick? Put somebody's name out there with a false accusation. We have no way of knowing. How many people have ended up on no-fly lists, all right, because somebody said that they were somewhere that they weren't, a.k.a. what happened on January 6th, where a lot of people were coming up on the no-fly list, and they were said, hey, you came up on the no-fly list because you were participating in the January 6th insurrection. And they're like, I wasn't even there. What are you talking about? But they're on a no-fly list.
Yeah, that just proves that the whole thing is a load of rubbish. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Mobile phones and all of their ilk are a bad idea. I realise MC is going to probably sit there and have a go at me about they're not going to track you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, fine. They could. This is the problem. Could. That's the bit that worries me. Okay? Just mobile phones, bad. Okay?
Mobile
I
phones
can't be any more subtle.
are, in and of themselves, are not a bad issue. The problem is when they put the freaking GPS in them, where they could track you right to your freaking, within a 3-meter radius.
Yeah.
That's where it became a problem. They put freaking GPS chips in these things. Now, I'll grant you that it's helpful when you want to get to a location. You type in the location and it tells you how to get there. All right, in a car. I understand that. All right. I understand these things can be helpful, all right? But there's also the ability of other people utilizing that data. And then what's worse is a company that is storing that data.
Yep.
And there is a company storing that data. That's storing whether you have the GPS turned on or off, they're storing that data because there's no real way to turn it off. People... They kind of conveniently did that.
He's not wrong. No accusation is false when you can fake a digital trail.
And that's another problem. How do you know whether or not this data is accurate or not? And how do you know that it's pristine? How do you know somebody didn't tamper with that data? There's no way of knowing that.
No.
And this is
Custodius custodii. Who watches the watchmen?
There's no way that they would have the ability to know whether or not somebody in there manipulated that data and then gave it to somebody, all right, to phony things up. And we know that they'll do it. Think about it, folks. They were willing to do it to President Trump. If they're willing to do it to a U.S. sitting president, regardless whether you like Trump or dislike Trump, if they're willing to do it to a sitting U.S. president, who aren't they willing to do it on? If you got somebody with an axe to grind and anonymity and the power of the government and the non accountability of being able to be let go because of malfeasance, because they're hidden away and you don't know where they are, guess what? It's one of the problems when a bureaucracy becomes too big and you're dealing with the bureaucracy, not elected officials in charge.
We're talking about China.
No, they're probably going to be a damn sight better than the US government soon, and that's
Not
worrying.
really. China's always been overburdened with bureaucracy.
Yeah, well, they have a historical. You're correct. They have a historical proclivity of being overregulated. With a bureaucracy that runs everything.
Or as they say, over-regulated or regulated.
However they want to say it. Okay.
By bureaucracy.
But you start off with the government. Let's be perfectly frank. The FBI, you know as well as I do, the FBI is not investigating Ed Mullins because he did anything wrong. They're investigating him because the Biden administration is telling them to go harass this guy. And that's all they're doing is harassment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Federal Bullies of Investigation. The Federal Bureau of Intimidation.
Yeah.
Apart from making spam calls, that's why I don't own a phone. I don't need a slave 24/7. I already have a job like that.
You know you can go off people, Ms. Murder.
Can't love everybody.
You can, but it's very tiring and probably quite illegal.
This is also a fair statement. I can't really disagree with that.
Or I could have said, you tried telling that to Barry Allen.
We have a bureaucracy going in the States with these various organizations and various branches. An organization for a state bureaucracy has to, by its very nature, be smaller than the federal government.
Actually, MC, because of Pelosi's slip, you'd be more accurate to say a bureaucracy.
Well, bureaucracy. You can people can go by.
No.
It's not.
You didn't get it, MC. A bureaucracy.
Yeah, I know. I understood that. I got it, Batman. All right, but it's not a specific individual. What you're dealing with is groupthink of a bunch of leftists that have infiltrated all these areas. All right, they don't have to be told to go harass Ed Mullins. They already want to harass Ed Mullins because they're true believers. They're followers of the leftist cults. All right, all of leftism is good. You had. How many? Okay, let me ask you a question. Right, you just had a Facebook had a whistleblower, right?
Who's apparently a leftist deep throat.
All right. Now the whistleblower who did this set up there and complained that Facebook doesn't care about people being harmed, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, who is this whistleblower? All right. I'll tell you who the whistleblower is. She's a hardcore Marxist.
Yeah.
Okay? She has given money to AOC's green energy campaign. She has given money, all right, to every left-wing freaking cause out there. She's one of the major donors, all right, to the DNC. Do you really think she really cares about people being harmed?
Nope, and she's not a very good Marxist.
Freedom of speech and how they're wrecking freedom of speech? No, she's upset because they're not doing things she wants to do to people.
Yeah, and MC, she's not a very good Marxist if she's got money to hand out. In fact, she's not a very good Marxist if she's got food to eat.
Marxist that like to hand out. That's what Marxists are. Marxists are always liars. It's always about what they can get for themselves. It's never what they say, it's what they do.
Oh, hey, here's one for you, MC. I saw the one of the co-founders of Greenpeace being interviewed about his opinions on the likes of Extinction Rebellion and Greta Thunberg and global warming. Extinction Rebellion are idiots. Greta Thunberg, Stalin and Hitler used little girls just like her themselves. She's propaganda figure.
Yep.
And he reckons global warming is a load of bollocks.
Well, global warming will be solved when they take over everything and they say, just deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still going to come down. Take a look at all these clowns. Take a look at, for example, AOC. Tell me, what has AOC done that's green?
That herbal tea she drinks. That's apparently
Maybe.
green.
Very seriously, does she act like she's green? Does she sit up there and constantly fly everywhere? Does she constantly travel when she doesn't need to? All right.
Yeah.
Tell me how she's acting as if the Green New Deal is something to protect the planet, because it's not about protecting the planet.
Apparently, she does grow an odd sickly green at night.
It's not about protecting the planet. It never
No,
has
it isn't. Of course, it's not. It's about taking stuff away from the common masses.
Yeah, well, it's redistribution of wealth.
Yeah.
Along how they do it. And the first thing that happens with their mentality of redistribution of wealth is they get their cut first, and what's left over, maybe we'll kind of distribute it, but most likely we're just going to waste it for our own power by giving it to cronies who are going to give it to us for our own power.
I remember when I was
the teachers union.
I remember when I was in my 20s, so I was still in the TA, and one of my mates who was a bit of a lefty, was sitting in the pub, he was going on about redistribution of wealth. So I reached into his jacket, which was hanging beside us, pulled out his wallet, took half of his money out. And he goes, "What the fuck are you doing? It's not redistributing your wealth, because you put it fucking back and thought you were all about redistribution of wealth." He goes, "Yeah, not mine." That's exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, I didn't actually know that Sharati was a goblin, but apparently she's greener than all the rest of them. Interesting to know.
Yeah.
So Sharati the goblin.
Hold on. Sharati's the green goblin, is she?
You might want to have a little chat with your spider pal about that. It's good to know, isn't it?
Don't call him mine. He's Marvel.
That came on the new product that she installed.
The new product who installed?
Well, Shorty. She is you got to remember, she's the queen of the robots.
Are you trying to say she is the Borg queen?
No.
Yes.
No, I never said she was a Borg. Did I ever say she was a Borg?
No,
well,
you didn't. I
did say she was a cyborg at one point. I did say that. That's true. And you're right, Susan. I saw that's true. That's who the Extinction Rebellion is. They're not interested in actually solving anything. In fact, what they did is create a situation. When they stop traffic, all you're doing with traffic is getting it so that people's motors are running and not going anywhere. You're creating more pollution with nothing else. Because you're slowing people down in traffic, you're actually creating more pollution, all right, in the atmosphere. So if you really are interested in doing this, don't you think you should be doing something a little different?
Yeah, people are saying that this new stupid group that are going Insulate UK, who don't seem to realise that every home in the UK, under local authority control or even private tenants because it is law, they're all insulated. They're blocking roads, and somebody, said, if they're that interested in changing the law and getting things done, why don't they block the fucking the driveways of the MPs and that who can actually get things done and force them to do stuff? They're obviously not actually interested.
If they want to get things done, why don't they sit up there and put on a uniform and go over and stop the real polluters over in China or India? Head on over there. Do something good for the world. Don't just sit there and continue to increase pollution because you want to sit there and complain about pollution. So your idea of complaining about pollution is to increase pollution, but not actually put your freaking self out there or anything like that. And I'll tell you right now, if these people were treated the same way that the New York Police Department's Benevolent Society was treated, they wouldn't be there because they're all a bunch of actual cowards.
Oh, yeah, and another thing about global warming is according to all the data from what I've heard, the Earth is slowly getting incrementally cooler.
Yeah.
Well,
Because-
they just had the coldest winter on record in Antarctica, according to a new news article. Of course, once again, with the problem with all these news articles, and this is all of them, everyone that I've read and everything else, how much do you believe? How much is accurate? You're not even sure.
If it's mainstream media, I tend to take it with a shipload of salt.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been in a warming period of the ice age that we've been in ever since humanity evolved. It was just a warming period, and apparently we're possibly heading back into a glaciation.
It's possible, all right. I mean, there's a lot of things that affect, the weather, all right.
Yeah.
Whether or not we're going into a glacial period or anything else, the fact that the period that we're in right now is actually far more stable climate-wise, right, than is normal for the Earth. If you take a look at the geological history, there's been wild changes. Now, when I make that comment, the one problem that I have with making that comment is, quite frankly, we don't necessarily know, because records are not daily. We don't have daily records, right, from 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
We don't have temperature records from 5,000. Think about
Actually, yes, we do, but the Atlanteans won't share it with us.
that. Well, if you can get the Atlanteans to share, that's the. You go talk to your buddy Aquaman. I'm sure he'll come up with something.
Yeah, I've tried talking to Awkward Man. He's not very good at talking.
And yeah, they wanted to tax Americans 8 cents per mile anyway. Basically, tolls. Basically, you don't own the roads, the toll roads. The fact that you paid for them and everything else, that's immaterial to these people. Because it's not about saving shit. It's about wealth and power for themselves.
Can I ask you a question? I'm assuming, like drivers in the UK, you've got to pay road tax every year.
No.
No, we do, don't we, Jenson?
Oh,
We
yeah.
have- We have,
Once a year, you pay an amount of money for road tax. You get taxed it.
the way they tax, the way they do roads, right, for transportation, right? There are things like toll roads, which are, they create toll booths and things to go through, but those are only in certain areas and so forth, and those are all legislated in. I'm not going to argue that point, right? But the tax that we get to pay for roads comes from gasoline. It's fuel tax, is what.
Well, we got that too.
Yeah.
We have that too.
Right.
That's the thing.
And the other tax that they do is what they call a registration. All right. So when you get your vehicle registered to get a license plate to go on the road, it's technically not a road tax, but it's a registration fee for your vehicle. And the more expensive your vehicle is, generally, and this is done by states, by the way, not federally. So a state says you have to register your car. Generally, the way it is if a car costs $10,000, you pay this much. If it costs $30,000, you pay a bit more. If it's $5,000, you pay a bit less. It depends upon the cost of the vehicle. All right, as assigned at registering, which makes paying for the registration of a new vehicle expensive as hell.
Do you have that? Do you have that law in the States that we've got in the UK, where if you're driving along and you see a French hitchhiker on the side of the motorway, you've got to swerve into the hard shoulder and hit him?
If you see a what?
French
The
hitchhiker.
French hitchhiker.
We don't have the swerve technique. We don't have that down. No.
Well, I want to ask: is this tax you're discussing? Is it paid every year or only once?
No, it's paid every few years. It depends on the state. Some states they do it every year. Other states they do it every 2 or 3 years. Right? It depends upon what they're doing. All right. It depends.
Okay, because over here, tax is done every year. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Brent's got to pay it for his Shire ponies.
Hitchhikers don't speak much.
Because he's
Not
got
after you run them over, no.
even less after you reverse over them.
In France, they call Batman Leggett.
Oh, shut up, you turnip head. I'll lick you round Manglewurzel, I will.
Oh dear, oh Lord.
Brent's from the West Country, you see. He talks like a pirate.
Yeah, makes a whole lot more sense when you point this out. Otherwise, let's get blunt, all right? Do you really think the Americans even know what the West Country is?
Well, they think it's California.
Exactly. So are you saying he sounds Californian? Brent, I'm on your side, mate. That's not acceptable.
Yeah, that's not acceptable. I'll agree with that.
Okay. And Susan, the reason you don't see hitchhikers is because Batman's run them all over already.
See, Laszlo's into it.
Mm-hmm. Arr.
Nay, Farmer Giles.
See, what you need to ask Brent is, does he have a brand new combine harvester? And will he give you the key? I mean,
No.
ask that and then
No.
you're sorted.
Do you a brand new combine harvester?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Are you talking like the big combines? Is that what you're
it's,
Yes.
it's a song. I've
Do
got
you
a
know
brand
what
new
those things
combine harvester.
cost?
It's the song, MC.
Right?
The other one, of course.
I grew up on a farm. Okay?
We don't care.
Do you realize what a new large tractor
No,
costs
no,
nowadays?
MC. Nomad. Let's get it right here. You didn't grow up on a farm. You grew up as a farm.
Well, it doesn't matter. A new combine. You know what? I'm going to look that up right now.
Okay. The other thing, of course, you could always ask him is he a cider drinker? And does he drink it all for day? Go on, Batman. Go on.
Yeah, but also
Oh.
Brent probably is is one of the people who milks Bessie the bionic cow.
Fair. I was expecting you to actually do the whole ooh-ah thing, but all right, I'll let you off this time.
Well, you're not going to do that. I'm not.
Oh, that was terrible, dude. Just don't.
It was meant to be. It was
Those things cost, all right, around $300,000 to $500,000, $500,000 for one. And guess what? By year 3, it's breaking. Okay, you only use it during harvest time, and on your third harvest, you can guarantee something's going to break on the damn thing that you're going to have to fix.
The good news is I can actually give you exact dimension. Oh,
Oh,
bye-bye.
dear, Doku's left. Oh, well.
Yep.
No loss.
I can actually give you exact dimensions that he ploughs if you'd like. I believe he has 30 acres and she has 43. So if that helps.
Yes. And unfortunately, his wife looks like a chimpanzee.
30 acres and 40 acres?
43 acres.
He's got 30 acres and she's got 43.
You could,
Again, it's a song, dude.
oh, that's a song? Okay.
Who loves E, baby?
I mean, you can go through 19, well, for example, you can go through like 19 acres in less than 2 hours.
Oh, God.
Oh.
This is funnier than asking Joe Biden questions.
I really can't hear you half the time, Batman.
No, you don't understand him. That's, I think, the problem.
I don't understand him. You're right about that.
Yeah, no, I'm not actually taking the piss out of either of you with that. I was actually being genuine.
I know. It makes it funnier for me.
Yeah, fair point. So, is there anything else you would like to point out to MC? Because, you know, we all know full damn well that the FBI versus the police thing is going to get absolutely nowhere because the police quite literally are too scared to stand up to the FBI. And Google's going to get away with whatever it bloody well wants to.
Jenson.
What?
It's not MC.
Okay, Nomad.
It's Nomad. I mean, Nomad.
I'm not calling gonads. That's disgusting.
I said go mad.
Oh, right, okay.
See, you can't even understand him half the time. And you're in the same bloody nation.
No, we're not.
It's like you're on the same bloody island.
Yeah, no, again, no, we're not. He's from the north. It's completely separate.
Bro, Dad. The Jenson's from London. Half the time he can't understand himself.
Yeah, fair.
But no, those are the things I wanted to talk about specifically. Right?
Okay.
Oh, there is one more thing. I take that back.
All right.
I do take that back. There is something else you got to give. This is for memes. All right. This is. It's not what you think it is. This is unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's sort of sign of imminent hyperinflation, is it?
Memes suggested doing this.
That's a bad idea.
Those who don't remember memes of destruction,
No, he did.
postulated this very thing.
It's a bad idea.
But the
They were
question
doing that in
is,
Germany in the 20s. People were taking wheelbarrows.
the question is how many of these do you have to spend to buy a single burger? That's the question.
$1 trillion.
A $1 trillion platinum coin could be minted within hours of the Treasury Secretary's decision to do so, said Phillips Deal, the former director of the United States Mint, tells Axios. Congressional solutions to the debt ceiling problem could take weeks to implement, especially if the reconciliation process is used and time is running out. In case of an emergency, $1 trillion coin could be deployed to bridge any gap between the money running out and the debt ceiling being raised. Who are you going to hand this coin to?
That's the bloody question.
Where are you going to go with this coin? But they are seriously upset because Republicans are blocking, all right, this problem where they just keep spending money, and nobody's freaking being held accountable. So finally, there's Republicans who are getting a little concerned because their constituents have looked at them and said, "We have had enough of you." And so now the Democrats are like, "Well, we're not going to stop spending money. You know, you gotta allow this. You gotta allow this." So what is Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, said? Oh, we should just do away with the debt ceiling. We should just spend ourselves into oblivion. I am not exaggerating when I say that she said we need to do away with the debt ceiling rules. This person is now in charge of our economy. By the way, this is the same idiot that was put in charge of the World Banking Fund.
We're all doomed.
Yeah.
Right? This is the kind of stupidity that comes from these morons. Oh, yeah,
Wow.
you can keep spending it into oblivion. They are going to bury this country, come hell or high water, using bureaucracies time and time again with unelected officials, all right, to do the dirty work. And then meanwhile, our supposed elected representatives sit back and have Mai Tais with one another.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that is.
That's close. By the way, Nomad, I've put something in your DMs, Discord. Do enjoy the tune. I just want to. He's just going to sit there and just go, "What?"
I can't understand what they're singing. There's a bunch of English hippies. That's what you'll say.
No,
Might be a bunch of English hippies. That might be true.
Actually, he's not necessarily that far wrong by calling them hippies. They're sort of if you mix a hippie and a farmer and push really, really hard. So I suppose you could call them fippies.
Or harmers.
Yeah,
Harmers is the best word.
Yeah, but that kind of describes what they might be doing to the animals, and people get twitchy, and it could go horribly wrong.
I'll have to look at that one later.
Oh yeah,
How many people
that's
saw
going to
this?
do your head in. Wait 1 sec. Up.
Horrifying moment: a woman shoves a commuter into the side of an approaching train in New York subway.
Oh, that's nice.
A 42-year-old woman was shoved from a platform onto an approaching train. Right, and they have a video of this. This woman runs up behind her, rams her into the train, and then walks off.
Oh, and isn't that surprising?
Right? It wasn't happening before. Why is it happening now?
Yeah.
Has anybody bothered to stop to ask, why is this happening now? And what gets me is all these other commuters that are standing around. They do absolutely no. They go to help the woman at least a little bit, all right. But none of the rest of the people grab this woman, throw her to the ground, and say she's the one who did it. Come get the cops.
Well, they don't want to be called a racist, do they?
That's
They're
the
still
thing.
searching for this criminal, right? And
They've
what did
got
she
a
do?
freaking
Why did she do
picture.
it? Who knows?
No, she's not a criminal. She's a misunderstood person of colour.
Sure.
Misunderstood woman of color, right? That's
Just
your
out of
view?
interest, do you at any point do you actually find out what the target was? Whether it was male, female?
She said it was a woman.
It was a 42-year-old woman who got shoved into the train, and this is the woman who did it.
Okay, so was it a black, white, what? Any idea? Because
Right, hold on a second. Let me
yeah, just in case, I don't know.
If it's another black woman, it could be. Yeah, they had an argument sometime in the past.
Yeah. According to
Watch
Susan, she thinks they caught her, and that they're observing mental illness.
Well, yeah, she's a
mental illness.
Huh.
Well, actually, it looks like she's just sitting there and oh, look, I think I'll shove that woman.
Yeah.
It does look like a spur of the moment thing.
Dude.
So why is it happening now when it wasn't happening before?
It's worrying. Okay, I'm just going to say it, and I may get in trouble. In fact, rephrase, I'll probably get in trouble for this. But I reckon a lot of this is actually going on because of the various lockdowns and whatnot that's been going on.
Lockdowns,
and before you,
Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all of it.
Yep. I actually think that this was her way of, air quotes, letting off steam. Unfortunately, it's a bloody stupid way of doing it.
Letting off steam, no, she wanted to hurt that person.
Yeah.
I said.
This is not letting off steam. This is someone who wanted to hurt that person. Why did she want to hurt that person?
That would be the other thing to find out. Was it targeted or was
we know
it?
It was we're pretty positive it was targeted.
No, was it premeditated? Not like
I'm sure that it was racially motivated because they've been told that you can't be racist if you shove somebody into a train because they were white. That's not a racial crime.
He's not wrong.
There it is. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's disgusting is what it is.
Yes, it is.
Now, you can say that the woman couldn't control her emotions, but she's been being told constantly by the press and everybody else how downtrodden she is, and the only reason her life sucks has nothing to do with her, has nothing to do with their reasoning.
It's because
the reason their life
black.
sucks is just because of the color of skin, and you can't do anything about it, so you
not just the colour of her skin, MC.
That's nothing to do with it.
Not just the colour of her skin, but the fact that she's a woman.
Well, that's strike two, yeah. But why would you shove another woman? Oh, well, we probably know it. The guy probably could have turned around and hit her in the head.
In all fairness, at least the woman only bounced off of the subway and didn't, go into the front of it because, that's bad.
You think?
Well, the fact that it was moving at that speed, though, I'm surprised. The woman could easily have been killed with that.
Yeah.
Easily been killed by catching something and just hitting her head the wrong way on something. Could have easily been laying there dead.
Oh,
well, that has happened to people before, and they've actually been pulled under the train.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Let's be fair, okay? She could die hitting the side. If she'd have actually landed in front of it when it was going along at that speed, there is not really much in the way of question as to what happened to her, is there?
No.
Yeah, I wonder why this is happening. Top American counterintelligence officials warn every CIA station base around the world, last week, of troubling numbers of informants recruited from other countries to spy on the United States being captured or killed.
I have no idea.
Can't figure out what happened there, can you?
The Central Idiot Agency.
when your State Department hands a freaking kill list of collaborators, all right, to your enemies.
And look, Nomad.
I don't know why
Nomad.
our informants are being tortured to death to reveal other informants. All right, that couldn't be going on, could it? It couldn't be the fact that they're just basically being let out that our State Department is going. Let's get a bunch of Americans killed.
It wasn't the government. It was Trump in disguise. Don't you know the rules? God, it's disgusting. Always remember, blame Trump.
The CIA director under Trump. Where is she being asked about any of this?
Good point, actually.
In fact, what happened to Gina Haspel? Does anybody even know?
No. Actually, I don't. Has she not been cough fired or removed from...
No, she was the new CIA director. She came in, but the thing is nobody, unlike other people, right, where all these other administration officials or all these other clowns are all over the news, she disappeared from freaking the site. She's like a non-entity.
I still like your girlfriend Pelosi was making a mistake about the president, Obama.
Well, he did make that comment. That's true.
Is that a slip exposing who's really in charge, or is her mind going as well?
No, that was exposing exactly who's in charge.
Or is it both?
Fair point. I accept that.
I mean, let's face it. The ancient Egyptian spells keeping her alive must be wearing off at some point.
Mom Ra or Pelosi. Yeah.
Anybody want to know why this wasn't called an insurrection?
Oh, this. Yeah, I heard about this. Oh.
Anger and frustration over Senator Kirsten Sinema's refusal to fall in line with other Senate Democrats and pass legislation central to President Biden's agenda boiled over on Sunday, not in the marble halls of the Capitol, but in a bathroom in Phoenix. Activists followed Sinema into a bathroom at the Arizona State University, where Sinema is a lecturer, as they urged her to pass the reconciliation bill, as she held that she has held locked in negotiations. She's not the one preventing this, folks. All right?
Well, they're not bright enough to know that, though, are they?
She's not. She's not the one preventing it.
They're not bright enough to know this, are they?
No. Well, I mean, they run into they filmed it. They filmed it, of course, and they put it on one of the social media platforms, right? And when Merrick Garland was asked about it, our Attorney General, you have a U.S. sitting senator who was accosted and even into a bathroom where they showed her going into a stall and locking herself into a stall. His comment was, well, oh well.
I might be wrong here, but I heard he actually used the term that this is expected, this is normal. That was insanely freaking stupid for him to do, because now that means that the right can do it as well.
No, because See, there's different rules. We apply these rules differently. Don't you understand?
Yeah.
If you're accosting somebody we don't like, aka using the FBI to raid somebody, or send our little Huns to go accost people as they walk down the street, all right, that's okay. But if you're the Proud Boys,
Jenson,
that's a whole different ball of wax for Merrick. Oh, yes, this man who people were saying, he'd be one of the greatest justices for the Supreme Court ever.
Jenson, do you think he had his speeches written by, Sad Dick Kant?
I think he had his speeches written by bloody
that's all I want to
Himmler.
talk about today, to be honest. Unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where I have to leave because I've got work to do. So
that's his
appreciate
excuse.
you listening to me.
He's got to go off and find himself
out from the wilderness.
Nomad has got to go back and look for a new country.
But I do have to find a new place to hide. Right?
Yeah, you look
Yeah.
after yourself.
A new
Dave.
cactus to preach to. So
Yeah.
I will talk to you gentlemen later.
Yeah, see you later, Norman.
See you, dude. Bye bye. Well, Batman,
Well,
after that
yes.
absolute stroke of genius from our illustrious Nomad, have you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, that thing. Something similar happened there in House Apartments not so long back. It was one of the neighbours, trans women MPs that got accosted, if you remember.
I vaguely actually do remember that. Yeah.
Wonderful, isn't it?
It's just disturbing what this world has actually got to. You know,
The Fourth
I-
Reich.
are you joking? If
No.
they tried that shit with the Third Reich, they would get themselves executed.
Not if it was the Third Reich doing it.
Maybe,
And
possibly.
the kind that did used to do that. Did do that.
Okay. Well, I wasn't around back then. I realised you was.
Neither was I. Before you get it in.
Come on, I'm just playing. All right. Well, in that case, everybody, we will bring this to an end here. Who knows when the next one is, but I will work on Nomad and see if we can get him to do this more regularly. Hey, miracles can happen. I'll speak to you all later.
Fairy
Thank you
tales,
very
thank you.
much for coming on, Batman.
You
English?
know I like coming on when I can get the words out.
Yeah.
But fairy tales do come true. It can happen to you. Unless I steal your heart.
Yeah, but that's because you're going to put your fist through it and rip it out. You know it and I know it.
Yes. I did say steal your heart.
This is true. Well, bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.